Yes. I had to start off with a smile. Yes, happy 4th. Happy birthday to my mommy. I love my mommy. I have the best mommy. That's how we always celebrate the 4th. So I know it's like this big debate about the 4th. I'm not going to get into it or whatever the case may be, but the 4th has always been celebrating my mother, Queen Vernita Marie Lester Burton. So I just want to say happy birthday to my mom first and foremost. So it's Real Estate Tuesday, and we're going to have a conversation about some things, okay, that can turn your home ownership dream into a nightmare. And a lot of times that happens because you don't pick the right professionals. So let's talk about it. So let me pull this up right quick. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about what's going on in the Memphis market, especially those of you that are living in Memphis and those of you who is aspire to maybe invest in Memphis, because Memphis is a 54% rental market. So if you're thinking about investing in Memphis, I know you hear about the crime and all. There's crime everywhere, but people are going to still need a place to live, and rentals and income and all those different things. Hi, Sharon. All those different things, are coming factor comes back to people still need a place to stay. So I feel like, we have to be able to get past that part because we live in a world that's full of evil. And regardless of the fact, people gonna still need a place to live. So, you know, Memphis has its things, Detroit has its things, Atlanta has its things, and all of that. But the thing is, people are going to still need a place to stay. So coming back to that, um, but my name is Toria Howard, and I am a real estate professional here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. So what up, though, to all my Detroit people? And I do credit restoration, financial literacy, and business funding. But today we're talking about home ownership and how it can turn into a nightmare, your dream into a nightmare. Because if one of the reasons why it's not picking the right professional, check out my reel I just did about why it's important to pick the right lender. So um, I had I had a situation like that. That's the reason why I did it. So I'm doing it in a 5-part series because I didn't want the video to be too long. You know how our attention spans are these days. So I just broke it up into parts. So right now I'm going to tell you about the Memphis real estate market. So there's 229 homes on the market right now. So people are still buying and selling, and 196 homes were sold and 11 are pending. And I have a listing that's not, well, it's not my listing. I have a buyer who's purchasing a home. So congratulations. There's in that pending status. So I'm excited. It has been delayed, but not denied. Put out the fire, and here we are. So the thing is, I know it's a lot of things in the news, a lot of things that you read about, a lot of things that you see, you hear, all these things, right? And that's why I talked about the other day about protecting your ears, your eyes, and what you say out your mouth, because of the fact that a lot of having a lot of information come at you at once can make you confused on the inside and make don't make you pull a trigger on things because of fear. And what is fear? False evidence appearing real, right? So that's the thing. A lot of people are getting fear mongered out of buying real estate because of the interest rates. The cost is, the cost of houses are too high. The real estate market is going to crash. All these different things that you're going to hear. It's always a good time to buy real estate. It's one of the 8 streams of income that a lot of wealthy people use to build wealth, because real estate is always going to come down to people going to need a place to live, like I keep saying. So however you choose to do real estate is so many different facets. You can do wholesaling, short-term, long-term rentals, landlord, REITs. You can be in an investment fund. It's so many different things. If you want to be hands off, hands on, whatever it is, right? It's always a good it's always a good time to buy real estate. And then I'm gonna have to call it back. I got to put my phone on do not disturb when I'm doing my live. Um, but I hope you can hear me. Real estate is going to continue to appreciate. Oh no, what's going on? No, don't do that to me. They popping fireworks. So here we go with the connection. But anyway, um, the thing is, you in Memphis and you're thinking about purchasing real estate, you should, because investors are doing. I'm working with 5 out of state investors right now myself. So why not buy up your own community? I'm just saying. I am working with a committee that is working to. Oh my God. Um, I am working with a committee that's trying to get a land trust for one of the communities here in Memphis, and I'm so glad to be a part of this initiative because it's so imperative to try to keep our neighborhoods and strive to keep our neighborhoods from being gentrified, because that's the reason why housing prices go up, because we leave our neighborhoods. I know it's crime. I know bad things happen that's bad, but the thing is, you have to think about what happened back in the day when it was still crime and stuff going on. I know it was in my neighborhood, but people took pride in their homes, and they knew those people that was committing crimes and doing all that knew not to come on certain blocks because they wasn't going to have it. I lived in one of those blocks because my dad was one of those people that wasn't having it. So you still have those type of blocks today where you can tell the difference between. I saw your message, honey. You can tell the difference between um, the blocks that are, that people care about what's going on in their communities and the ones that don't. If we take care of our communities, things won't leave. I'm just, putting that out. It's not a part of my agenda. I just thought to say that. If we take care of our communities, things won't leave. Businesses won't leave. You know, schools won't. Because the more taxpayer dollars are in our communities, that's what keep our schools. But we tend to run and go and want to be, as they say, accepted other places, and that's what happens to our neighborhoods. And people come in and buy it up, and then they turn it around on us, and then we wonder why housing prices are high, because nobody came in and kept the neighborhood stabilized. And that's why I am a part of this committee here, because I'm tired of seeing it, because it's a travesty for our future that we don't leave a legacy for our children. I was, upset with, my parents because, they didn't do the same for me. But we've still got the 100-acre farm in Virginia, but I'm not from Virginia. I'm from Detroit. So I would have rather had kept our childhood home. That didn't happen. I dropped the ball because I wasn't vigilant enough to pay attention to what was going on. And now it just was basically taken right from under me and given to somebody else that's going to sell it to somebody else. So that's the thing. Like, we have to stop doing that in our communities. Like, we're recycling this real estate for other people to come get for a cheaper price, which is going to drive it up, which we can do the same thing ourselves. But we tend to, forget about it because we want to assimilate and run to other places and be accepted. I'm just saying. I'm gonna get off my soapbox before I get cut off. But anyway, how does your home ownership dream become a nightmare? Well, let's talk about it, right? So a lot of times things happen because people don't understand that home ownership is a process. And you have to know that the process is strenuous. The process will cause you to have to come up with a lot of paperwork. The process will dig into your life. The process will get on your nerves. The process will make you angry. The process will make you cry. The process will, but all in all, you still have an asset that's your own at the end. But if you handle these things at the beginning, you can avoid some of these issues. So some of the things that people run into is that People come in and get excited about their credit score. They didn't work on their credit. They have worked on their profile. Everything is together, and they thinking in their mind that they can afford these things that they see on Instagram and Facebook and all and the TV and the HGTV, right? And then it comes down to their income, and they can't afford what they see, and they have a you know a champagne taste with a beer budget. There's nothing wrong with having good taste because I love great things. I love nice things. I love expensive things. And a lot of people are not willing to start somewhere so then they can level up. They always want to go from here to, like the Jeffersons. And that doesn't happen all the time. That's not our reality unless you get an inheritance, you get a significant change in income, you win the lottery. And a lot of people dreams become a nightmare because they can't understand the point of starting where they are. And that breaks their heart. And I understand that. And that's why you have to understand where you stand. If you know that you only make a certain amount of money right now, not saying you're going to always be there, just know that you're not going to be able to afford, a lot of times, this big grandiose mansion that's in your mind. Have that on your vision board, but start somewhere. And that's the thing. Start somewhere. And that's a lot of times when people get turned around because don't they can't afford, they're what they in their minds, they can't afford what they want. So they don't get nothing at all instead of starting somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And that's how one of the ways people dreams become a nightmare, because you're not living in reality. You're not living in what's going on with you. If you want more, a lot of times you have to figure out how much you have to make. So for instance, if you want a $500,000 home, your income has to be around 150 to $160,000 a year in most places, depending on where you live. Some incomes, a $500,000 house can be in the hood, but in markets like in Memphis, in some of the southern areas, you have to make six figures in order to be able to afford that. Now, if you want the 300 to $400,000 range, you're talking about high 80s to flat 100. Okay. So, and it all depends on your debt as well. So, if you have a lower debt ratio, you can afford more according to the lenders. So, that can vary and change as well. And then your credit score, if you have a high enough credit score, your debt to income ratio don't come into factor, don't come into play as strongly, because you can have a 65% debt to income ratio versus a 45% debt to income ratio if you have a lower credit score. I know this sounds crazy, and I'm just throwing out stuff at you, but your debt to income, meaning your debt versus your income. How much debt do you have versus your income? If you have more coming in than your debt, of course you're going to be able to afford more. If you have less coming in than your debt, then of course you're going to be able to afford less, even if you can pay for it. That's just how you look on paper. So you have to know these things and these numbers before you get started so you won't get blindsided. Understand where you stand. So, for instance, when I was making $48,000 a year as a teacher when I first moved to Memphis, when I purchased my home, I was only $160,000 is what I um, was qualified for, and I ended up buying a house for 150,000. So, I ended up finding a house that was a little bit lower, but the market was different then too. Now, when I became, I ended up getting like a $30,000 increase after being here for a while and teaching for a while. You can add on to that. So at that point, I would have been in like the 250, 275 range, depending on my debt to income ratio. So that's what you're looking at. You have to know your numbers. And sometimes your dreams become a nightmare because you don't know your numbers and you get blindsided when the lender comes and tell you what your numbers are. Even though you can afford it, you can pay for it, but on paper it doesn't look like it. So that's one way your dreams can come a nightmare. Another way is while you're in the process and things are going well and you don't listen, you pick, well, I should say, let me back up. Picking the right real estate professional is key as well. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the fact that a lot of people are not out for your best interest, and you have to be able to vet a person and understand if they are out for your best interest or not. I had to deal with a realtor that wasn't out for my best interest. And some things transpired, and you know, things didn't turn out great for me. So I'm speaking from experience. She was only out for her own vested interests. She was only out, yeah, like myself, a great real estate professional like myself. She was only out here for her vested interest, her bottom line, instead of knowing and telling me the right thing for me. I would never tell an individual to sell a house if it was not, you know, in their best interest. I don't care how much I can make on the deal. There's going to be other deals. Because my point is to do my due diligence is to make sure that I am working for my clients in their best interest. And that's what happened to me. I had somebody that was just out for her bottom line. And I could have did my due diligence. I could have did my research and I could have listened to other people and I did not. But be that as it may, if you don't pick the right real estate professional, you're going to get wrong information. And usually when you pick the wrong real estate professional and you get wrong information, they're going to lead you down the wrong path and have you working with the wrong people. And you have to understand and ask the right questions and do your due diligence and understand what's the process yourself and going through it yourself. Like one of my friends, he came on my live and he said he does everything with the realtor, the inspections, whatever it is, it has to do with his house. He's doing it with the realtor. And I don't mind that. But a lot of realtors, want to take over everything. And we are the experts, yes. But are they out for your best interest is the question. Are they in cahoots with somebody else because they want to get this sale and this is not the best house for you? I have walked many of houses, and because I do my research and because I don't care how much a client loves a house, if I see some, because I'm an investor too, so I kind of look at it in a different lens. And I'm not a contractor, but I can tell when I see certain things, something is not right. I don't care how much the client loves the home. I'm going to tell them that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. You're not going to like this. We're not going to waste our time. I'm going to tell it to you straight because I don't want to waste your time and you're not going to waste mine, especially if I know you already. I'm not going to allow you to waste your time and get your hopes up. And that's the thing. So picking the right real estate professional is key. That could turn your dream into a nightmare. I've heard so many horror stories of people. I've had people call me like, I can't get out the contract with my realtor. I didn't sign this real estate contract with this realtor. I can't get out. And I wish you were my realtor. Know what you're signing. Read your paperwork. Look how long you are going to be in that relationship. If there's something that you don't like about that individual, you need to make sure that you're able to move if you want to move. Bottom line. And a lot of people get caught up in that because it's a lot to read. And our attention spans are, you know, so when it's a lot to read, of course, we're not going to read it. So we can still sign it because we trust that real estate professional, but do you really trust them? You have to do your due diligence. Are they after your best interest? Is the question. So that's the thing. So that's another way. That's the second way. So the first way you turn your dreams into nightmares when you have a champagne taste or a beer budget and you don't know your numbers and you get disappointed. Second thing is picking the wrong real estate professional. Okay. The third one is choosing the wrong lender. And I did a reel about this. I've had this happen too many times. And I've seen it too many times. And I've heard the horror stories about lenders. Okay. Um, you know, you have to understand that the lender can make or break your deal. And they make the final decision. I would say the underwriter makes the final decision on if you get that home or not. And sometimes the lender, well, I shouldn't say sometimes, the lender should be your friend. They should have your best interest at heart as well. And if that person doesn't have your best interest at heart, then you need to run. And that's why it's best to get multiple opinions. Everybody is so up in arms about getting my credit checked. I don't want to get my credit checked. An inquiry does not bring your credit score down that much. And when you're shopping for the same product, it does not look that bad. Now, if you go to the car dealership and you're getting your credit ran 15 times because you can't get qualified, that's something different. But if you're going to 3 to 4 different lenders to see what their programs are, to see what they have, then that's nothing wrong with that. That's like going to a doctor tell you, okay, you got cancer. Are you going to listen to that one doctor, or are you going to go get a second and third and fourth opinion? Same thing with the lender, because everybody has different products, different things that can work for you, and a lot of them don't know what they're doing, and they're telling you things that can mess you up. So, for instance, you use a lender and they tell you what's best for you instead of giving you the options. That is a lender that's not after your best interest. You have to know what, difference between a government loan, what a conventional loan is, what a no doc loan is. Government loans are FHA, the VA, the Fannie Mae's, the Freddie Macs, the USDA. Those are government backed loans. And you know what? If you know what the government is, government backed loans, that means it's going to be government all around and through it. So they're going to have a lot of strenuous and strict, regulations and things that don't accept and do accept and don't, all these different things. Conventional is a little bit more, looser. You can do a lot more things. You can be more flexible with a conventional loan, but you still have to qualify with credit score, the credit profile, and your debt to income ratio has to be at a certain point. And a no doc loan, that's just, you're just letting them see what you bringing in from your bank account statements. That's all they want. But you will have to put a down payment down, usually like 10%, depending on your credit score. So it's so many different options. And if you don't know your options, then you don't know what to choose what's best for you. For example, just learned that if you take a loss if you're a business owner, what does it take? What's your take on USD? Well, my take on USDA loans they are a good loan product because they have the lowest limits, and you can get it where it's the popular. I know in Tennessee the population has to be 25 to 30,000 people or less. So that's your Millingtons, your Arlingtons, your Lakelands, your Colliervilles. Your people. It's the smaller communities. So they are. You just have to find a home that fits their regulations as far as their standards, with the conditions. That's the only thing about government loans. And then, like, that's what I was just about to say. Um, with government loans, and if you have a W-2 and a business, yeah, Oakland, Tennessee is accepts USDA because it's a small population. When you have a business and a W-2, they're going to count both of those incomes. Of course, the more income you have, the better. You have your W-2, you have your business, you have your investment accounts, like your TD Ameritrades, if you have stocks and stuff like that, your retirement accounts, they put that into account. If you're getting alimony, child support, they put that into account. And if you have a life insurance policy that pays you, that you can get a living benefit, that counts as income as well. So everything is good to count. But I just found out with an FHA loan, that if you take a loss in your business, you cannot use them. And if you are not with a lender that knows that law that I just found has been on the books for 30 years, that has stopped my closing because my client had a business and she has a W-2, and she took a loss in her business, and we were supposed to close on Friday and we could not because she had to dissolve her business in order to close. And she didn't want to. So the lender was incompetent because this is not nothing that she did not tell at the beginning. Before she submitted her paperwork, she told the lender that. And he said he wasn't going to disclose it and did it anyway. And we almost lost that deal because of it. That's why picking the right lender who knows what they're doing, that gives you the options, okay? That gives you the options up front to tell you what you can qualify for and what you don't before you even start is crucial. It's critical because it will turn your home ownership dream into a nightmare. Now, help put the fire out. I helped put the fire out, but it looked like we looked like it was a goner. And I have been helping my client try to look for a house for 4 months, and we've been dealing with this incompetent lender. Another way to spot that your lender is incompetent is that, oh, thank you, Sharon. Another way that you can know that your lender's incompetent is if you have an inkling, okay, that your qualification is not, or they're trying, I wouldn't say incompetent. If your lender is not up to your best interest, let me say that part. If your qualification doesn't match or it doesn't feel right to you, that you should probably qualify for more because of your income and you know your numbers, then you need to run because they're doing something that's for their best interest and not yours. So, for instance, had a client, qualification changed 4 different times during the process. Okay. Qualified for 230. I said, what? You make 6 figures on your job. I didn't get it because I made 48,000 and I qualified for 160. So I was confused. Then it changed to 250. Then it changed to 280. Come to find out, they qualify for 310. If it has to change that many times, that's a problem. Because they're only doing it based, that was just happening because of the houses that we were finding, and they would come back and be like, oh yeah, you qualify for that. And if we would have known they qualify for 310 up front, we would have wasted all this time trying to find a house in the 250s, which in 250 range, trying to find a house in Cordova and Bartlett, you finding some interesting homes. One house was so bad, y'all. I couldn't even get in. I couldn't go in. I got sick just stepping like right at the door. It was bad. So that's what I'm saying. Like knowing knowing your numbers, understanding where you stand. What is your debt versus your income? How much you have, you know, as far as your how much your income is coming in, how much you have going out. That's why a budget is crucial. It's key. When you are um when you are talking about knowing exactly what you qualify for, you have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. Have to know your numbers. You have to figure it out because this will save you a lot of strife and a lot of headache. I'm not sure I understand. Siri, I wasn't talking to you, Lord. But I just wanted to come and drop that with you all today because oh, let me not forget this last one. Now, your lender is your friend. Once you find a good one and you're working together and you're about to go to the closing table, if you don't disclose something and you try to hide it with your finances, The underwriter will find it. They're like the CIA of mortgages. You're welcome, Sharon. They're like the CIA of mortgages. So you might as well tell it because they're going to find it. And guess when they're going to find it? When you sit at the closing table signing your paperwork. I'm thinking you about to get the keys. I've heard so many people get their home snatched away from them because they hid something from the lender and the underwriter found out. So don't hide nothing either because they're going to find it. I'm telling you, they like FBI, CIA, any alphabet that you can think of that finds stuff. The underwriter going to find it. I had a lender tell me that a one of her clients tried to hide that he was paying child support by putting I mean it was clever. It was clever. On the paperwork that he turned in, he put that he only had one child support payment. So he put all the child support payments that were coming out his bank account under one name. And the underwriter found out he had 3 children instead of just one. And yeah, he's sitting at the closing table signing his documents. And yeah, he didn't close. Yeah, because the underwriter found it at the last minute. I'm telling you, they will turn your dream into a nightmare if you hide things from them. So don't do that. Just be upfront and just find some more money somewhere. If you go get you a life insurance policy that has a living benefit, you use that, your retirement, all of the investment account stocks and stuff like that. Learn how to put money in different vehicles that can be liquefied so that you can be qualified. Oh, I just dropped a bar right there. That's all I got to say today. So I bid you adieu. And, if you thought this was some great information, share it with someone. I would love for you to share the video. I should be saying that up front. I don't never say it. And then I didn't even say if you're watching the video. Look, I just be getting into the information, y'all. I just be wanting to educate. And I just forget all the protocol I'm supposed to do. Woe is me. you know, it'll get out if it gets out. The person that was supposed to hear it heard it, whatever. And I'm just grateful for all of you that have came on. And like I said, share it if you feel like this was some powerful information. And thank you, Sharon. You stayed on the whole time. Appreciate you. Thank you to my husband who is on as well. And thank you everybody on YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow for Winning Wednesday. Coming back tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Y'all have a blessed night. Bye.